Hello everyone, this is Osama Rizvi and welcome to another episode of Monday Macro View. This week, as you all know, that COP27 is underway in Egypt. I really want to talk about not only COP27 but also the wider issue of climate change, climate justice, and how and why is this the most important policy matter in the world. Also, I want to highlight some of the unfulfilled promises from COP26, and it's important to have a look at them because clearly new ones are being made at the moment. So, jumping right in, I just want to show this wonderful chart. As you can see, in COP26, they were decided that countries would be submitting some nationally determined contributions, set of goals and aims and emission reductions and whatnot, some parameters to ensure that every country is on its track towards net zero. And not surprisingly for me, only 28 countries were able to submit renewed version of their NDCs, and only amongst the 28, only 5 of them were improved ones. Otherwise, most of them were a rehash of the previous one. So this really talks about, I would not say the non-seriousness of the countries, but also the challenges that many countries in the world face in keeping track of this thing, given the socio-economic, cultural, political considerations they have to take into account while working on these things. Another one was financing for fossil fuels. So this is a very interesting debate. And we really need to look at it from an objective point of view. First of all, the precedent is that, of course, then we should not aim for a hasty energy transition. There are multiple articles out there how this can cause even one of the worst financial crises in the world. There are trillions of dollars associated with the oil and gas industry and the proven reserves. But also, we cannot just overlook the fact that we have to move beyond the fossil fuels. The clock is ticking. It's a time bomb. I've written a lot of articles on the subject. You can go check it out. How all of this is really getting serious, and it is affecting countries across the world. So that's the precedent. But now the debate currently has been that due to an underinvestment issue, we have not been able to meet the new projects. The capex is down, hence we're looking forward for a supply crunch. And you know my stance on that. I have been covering it from the previous in the previous shows. But this is a really interesting debate that the world right now, the policymakers are sort of being polarized. There is a polarization going on. On one hand, it's all green New Deal, stop fossil fuels. The other hand, no, we need more fossil fuels. We need more coal. We need more gas. We need more oil. But I believe, as always is the case, the solution lies somewhere in the middle. Balance is the key, as we say, even philosophically, right? So the policymakers hence need to reframe the issue, problematize it in a different way, and then find a different solution to it, a practical solution to it. There are lots of examples in this regard, but one of the examples is that the previous Net Zero 2050 report called for zero additions in coal. And we all know, even Germany, other European countries, the current energy crisis had them scrambling to secure the coal supplies and whatnot. Even right now, as you can see, I had this. So fossil fuels still account for about 80% of the global energy mix, primary energy mix. This is not going down anytime soon. But my point is, once again, that we need to reframe the issue in order to understand it better. As they say, a problem well defined is a problem half solved. There was another promise being made, coming back to the promises, about the deforestation. Unfortunately, it remains still high in many parts of the world. Methane, in many ways and form, is even deadlier and more detrimental to the environment than carbon. And you can see the methane emissions have soared this century. They're at their record high. So has been the carbon CO2 emissions. There was a very interesting chart by Visual Capitalist. I forgot to include it, but go check it out. So these were some of the promises that, even in terms of climate financing, there has been about 200% or more rise in funding demand from the countries due to natural calamities because of climate change, and only 50% have been met by the rich countries. The Green Climate Fund and its promises still remain to be, they still remain to be fulfilled. There is a whole pile of it, but I'll try to wind it down. The whole point is that we're looking at it from a different perspective. We're going for a boilerplate approach like IMF or other institutions. It isn't going to work like that. Historical, cultural, geological, topographical, economic, all of these factors will be taken into consideration while we talk about solutions towards climate change. And undoubtedly, it is one of the most important issues. Hence, I've been always adamant, and I keep stressing that why we need to look at it from a different lens. So closely related to this and probably to the energy crisis, I would like to highlight once again that how what's going on in the international gas markets is affecting Pakistan as well. So look at this, our minister. So we're going to experience about 16 hours of load shedding, of blackout of gas. So there are only going to be certain time limits when we will have gas availability. So this is going to affect textile sector, which accounts for the 60% of our total exports. This is going to affect LSM, the large scale manufacturing industry in Pakistan, already down by a lot. So all of these things are going to pile up. Finally, talk about financial markets very quickly. Larry Summers has said that in order to reduce down inflation to 2% or curb it, interest rates will have to go up until 6%. I unfortunately agree with him. And Mark has done a really good job in the previous economy show. I keep referring to him because he keeps doing it. And we really need to look how bad things are, and the interest rates aren't going to stop anytime soon, the rise in it. Finally, the market sentiment tracker, as you can see, this side, the recessionary side, keeps getting heavier. I expect a sharp slowdown, a little bit of volatility. Interest rates continue to go up. China has extended its lockdown. The dollar is getting strong. UK is already in a recession. Eurozone is in quite a lot of trouble. Germany's output has fallen once again. And on the geopolitical front, Taiwan, Russia, Iran issue, they're in there in the background. So I don't know. I mean, at the moment, I believe this is what the market outlook looks like. Well, that is it from my side. Please let me know in the comments, what do you think is the most practical solution, pragmatic solution to climate change? And see you all next week. Thank you so much.